on in, everybody. Welcome. Hello, everybody. Come on in. Hey, Oliver. Hey, Keith. Leon, hey Josh, Dave, how are you? Olivia is from China. Wow, thank you for tuning in all the way from China. That is amazing. So I think Keith is here in Atlanta. Josh, I think is up there in Maryland. Leon is in Maryland. Let me know where you're from. Everybody that comes on in, just let me know where you are in the world. Ryan from Virginia. Hey, how are you? Dave from Nova Scotia. Wow. Wow. Mike from Blue Walker. Hey, how are you? Pablo from Chile. Jesse from Los Angeles. Wow. Patricia from Florida. Hey, how are you? Iowa. Lee Boy from South Africa. Wow. So we have China, South Africa, Nova Scotia, and the United States. Chile. Trinidad. Oh, man. So we'll give everybody just a few more seconds to get in, and then we'll start with our lesson today. I'm really excited about the lesson today. It's a really important lesson. Hey, Sebastian. Figaro from Ghana. Wow. Oh, Carlos from Venezuela. All right, come on in, everybody. Everybody, make sure you share this link to this video on your social media. Invite everybody in. All right, let's see. Arlette Marine from Detroit, Michigan. Wow. Detroit is a big gospel hub. See, Andre, will this lesson be MIDI? No, this lesson won't be. Abraham from Dominican Republic. ¿Cómo estás? Lucas from Sao Paulo, Brazil. Okay. All right. Everyone made it on in. I just played for a second more. That was fun. Okay. All right. Well, welcome to our live stream. We've been at this for 3 months now. So this is actually our 12th live stream. Actually, it's been a little over 3 months because we missed, I think, 2 weeks due to, I think, holiday, and I think once I might have been in the hospital. So yeah, thank you all for tuning in. Today's topic is really interesting topic. But before we get into the topic, I just want to share a couple of things really quickly, and then we'll get into the lesson. And you know me, as I always say, I try not to keep you here all night, and that is my goal. So hopefully we'll be able to do that. All right. First thing, we have our company, Skilled Musician. We're doing a lot of things behind the scenes. We are changing a lot of things, and so we're going to be having some big announcements in just about 2 or 3 weeks. Some really big announcements that we're still putting the finishing touches on. Some really big new things and new, just completely new things. And I'm trying not to share it. I'm trying my best not to share too much, because we haven't put the finishing touches on it yet. We're almost there. We're a couple weeks away. I will say this. Okay, I will say this. I'm giving in just a little bit. I'm gonna try to restrain myself. But one of the things I've always wanted to do is be able to work with students, and my students from around the world. We literally see students from around the world in a more personal and a little more in-depth way. And so we found the solution to do this. It's unbelievable. We're going to be offering a program coming in. I believe we're going to offer it in February, but we'll make the announcement in January about this completely new program that we're only actually taking 5 people from around the world. Only 5 people. And so, okay, I can't say any more about it because I'm going to spill all the beans. But here's what I will say. Okay, here's what I will say. Those who are in our community on our email list, you will receive the update first. So if you're curious about how to get on the email list, here, let me just put a link in the description box. Here's the link. You just put your name and email address there. Click it, just put your name and email address, and you'll be on our list and stay up to date, because I will be offering and sharing these updates with those on the email list first, and those part of our community first. And then I'll be sharing it with everybody else at large. So you want to be one of the first ones to hear this, because for some of the announcements, as I said, for the big one that we're doing, I'm only taking 5 people from around the world, because I just don't have any more. I can only take 5 because the type of teaching and type of mentorship we're going to be doing. All right, that's enough. I can't give you any more clues, but we're only going to be taking 5 people. So I'm excited about that one. Okay, we have a few more announcements too that I'm not going to get into, because if I keep talking about it, I'm going to share it. All right. But just know if you want to stay up to date on it, because we're going to be sending out some updates in the chat box right there. I just put a link. Just click the link, write your name and email address, and then click send and come on back in the room so we can get with the lesson. All right. So today's lesson is one that I've thought about and been mulling over for years, actually. It's one of the first lessons I wanted to teach on YouTube, and so I'm really, really excited about teaching it today. And this lesson is simply approaching creatively, or simply unlocking your creativity. And so you all talk back to me. How many of you all would consider yourself like a creative person? Thumbs up or yes, like I'm creative. Let me know. Would you consider yourself a creative person, or are you saying, nah, I don't really consider myself creative? And I know some of you might be saying, well, Corey, how can you say that we're all musicians in here? But the truth is, I've met a number of musicians that feel that, no, I'm not creative. I play and I play what I play, but I'm not a creative type, right? All right. So Leanne says yes. Josh says yes. Aaron says very much so. Okay, cool. Okay. Well, quick question. What is creativity? What is creativity? What is creativity? I see, who's that? Sham or Sharn says, I want to be creative. Okay. Well, this is the right live stream for you. All right. What is creativity? Does anybody know? And I know there's a slight delay, so I'll give you a second to think about it. Okay. Noriko says something unique. Lucas says thinking out of the box. Let's see. Michael says I would love to become musically creative. Okay. Leo says I don't think so. Leanne says being original. Aaron says using the tools you've required to make your version of things you've been exposed to. All right. And you all are kind of hinting around it, which is cool. Bob says being able to revolutionize and transform original ideas. Okay, you're all on there. Here's a really short and simple definition that I think kind of hints at the idea, and it's simply the art of, or the act of, making new connections between ideas, between old ideas. New connections between old ideas. All right. Carlos says developing something new over a usual format or pattern. Yeah. Keith, organizing new ideas. Yeah. So making new connections between old ideas, or recognizing relationships between concepts. All right. Creativity is not necessarily generating something brand new from nothing, but rather it's taking what's already present, right, and combining this part and this part in a way that hasn't been done before previously. So that's creative, like organizing ideas into a new way, right? Okay, so here's my next question for you. I answer quickly. Can creativity be developed? There are some common myths about creativity, but can it be developed? Can you develop creativity? Or are you stuck with what you're born with? Keith says he thinks it can be developed. Okay. Enrico says yes, it can be developed. Anyone else? All right. Bob says yes. Lucas says that's why I'm here. Okay, all right. Um, well, I was doing some research and I found um, a study by George Land that revealed that we are actually naturally creative, and as we grow up, we learn to be uncreative. That's what his study found. Well, ultimately, creativity is a skill that can be developed and a process that can be managed. So, like the myth that you're born like people are born super creative and that's it is some people have gifts, you know, where they're able to look and see something different. But for those or see the world differently. But for those of us who weren't given that gift, um, in that particular way, you still can develop creativity. All right. There's actually a study done that determined the main categories for developing your creativity were opportunities growing up, encouragement from parental and other sources, training, motivation, and practice. These are the five things. Um, so, so then the big question: how do you develop this creativity? How do you develop it? All right, so let me give you a quick. So what I'm going to do is kind of give you a theoretical solution, and then we're going to get into some practical solutions really quickly. All right, so some theoretical solutions. So first off, creativity begins with the foundational knowledge, right? Learning a discipline and mastering a way of thinking, and then you start experimenting, exploring, questioning assumptions, using your imagination, and synthesizing information. All right. That's kind of a theoretical answer. We're going to get hands on in a moment. All right. So let's see. Before we jump into it, let's see what people are saying. Aaron says, I think you need to find some type of mentor to unlock it most of the time, though. Hmm. Uh, well, having a mentor is definitely helpful, for sure. But this is something that I think you can do on your own, and I'm gonna give you some tips to doing it on your own, Aaron. But Aaron comes back and says, if you're building new connections based on old ideas, then you need old ideas first. That's exactly right. That's why you have to have a base of knowledge. Um, Noriko says, by being influenced from other creativity. Yes, Noriko, I'm gonna come back to that one. That's good. Try new possibilities. Try something different every time you play something you already know. Okay, so I'm going to give you kind of five theoretical things, and then let's see. I'm going to give you one, two, three, four, five, six practical things. Okay, the first thing is association. Okay, so association. So where did my writer go? Here it is. Association. Okay, so associating, drawing connections between ideas that aren't related or have a tenuous relationship, right? So for me, whenever you hear me talk about music, there are a couple of parallels that I like to use. And these help me musically. Here's one. Food. If you've known me for any length of time, you know when I'm talking about music, I generally talk about food or storytelling. This is one of my newer interests. I'm studying storytelling, roller coasters. For those, I saw one of my students from Lou Walker driving a car in traffic. This is one I talk about, especially with my beginning students. Why do we want to associate music ideas with non-musical ideas or non-music things? Why would we want to associate, like, why would we do that? Why would we do that? Why would we want to associate music with other things that aren't music? Anybody? Well, let me kind of let's see. Michael says because that's why we play. I hear you. Interpret humanity. I hear you. I hear you on that. Well, so for instance, let me just which one was? Let me see. Roller coaster. Let me just talk about that one. Aaron says because music is no different than life. Herbie Hancock. Noriko says because we have eyes, ears, and nose. Well, let's talk about it. Let's look at the roller coaster example. I like to, and I get inspiration and ideas from everywhere in the world. Anything. So I'm thinking about a roller coaster. Matter of fact, some of you all have been part of our channel, part of our community since the beginning. You remember one of the first videos I put? Actually, I think it was the first video. I had like a roller coaster in on the screen. But let's take the example of a roller coaster. You go up, there's tension, and then you release, and you go up the roller coaster, but then some roller coasters will do this. They'll take you up, and you think you're about to get some resolution, and then they'll do something and take you up further, and make the resolution longer. So, like, how would I do that musically? Like, so I got that idea from thinking about a roller coaster. So I'm thinking about, okay, what's a vehicle we use to create tension then a release? The 2-5-1. So if I'm in the key of F, or I won't do that key. Let's do G. I was in G earlier today. So G. So I'm going to do a 2-5-1. So 2 or A minor. So for my beginners, A minor. You can see it there. I'm going to extend it. And then 5, right? And then 1. So we have kind of the setup for the tension, and then release. Now, what do I do? Let's try it again. And I'm going to take the example of the roller coaster where I have tension, and then I add more tension, right? So let's go. Add tension, more tension, maybe even more tension, and then resolve. So that was like the first time I realized I could change tensions. I didn't have to just play one dominant chord. I could play multiple dominant chords, one right after the other, with different tensions. So right, and so that influenced my playing. It changed the way I played, and that was a non-musical example, a non-musical idea that changed my playing. All right, let's see. So that's kind of the first deal. And we're this kind of theoretical concept. We're going to get into we're kind of practical now, but we're going to get deeper into practical in a moment. But the first thing is associating or association. So try to think of non-musical things and how they apply to your music. Let's see what people are saying. Carlos says those situations you write about are loaded with emotions, tension and release. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Kabbalah says for emotion and conveying motion. Exactly. All right. So the next one is questioning. Okay. And so this is important. Questioning. Asking questions. Why is this way? Why is something this way? And you don't have to be a professional to ask questions. I remember and so here's what your questions do. One, they give you kind of the current answers, but then they spark new answers. Let's see, let me just try to write a little clearer. Spark. They spark new answers. So if you're a beginner, I remember one of the first questions I've asked, and I might have shared this with you all already, is I asked the question, man, if I'm in the key of C, if I'm playing a song in the key of C, and I see guys playing in the key of C, why are they playing black notes? Why? The key of C has all white notes. I remember that being one of my questions, and I could not figure it out. And then I finally got the answers, and that gave me the current answers. These are the current solutions. And as I learned more and more, I started asking questions, and it sparked new answers or different answers. Like on a major chord, or for instance, why is the fourth in a void tone? You know, on a major chord like C major, the 4 is considered an avoid tone. Why is that? Well, the third, the resolution in the same chord, which is not. So if you want to add the 4, it has to be sharped. And then we have that sound like a C major sharp 11. But this sound is a really cool sound that I like. I think it sounds amazing. Yeah. I think it sounds amazing. So it became something that I use, right? So question, this is important. Okay. Observing. All right, so I'm going to move quickly through the rest of these because I've kind of talked about them a little bit. Observing, I'm just put the next ones up, next 3 up. Networking and experimenting. And I'm going to cover these a little bit more in a moment. Observing. You have to be observant. You have to look and see what's happening and wonder why. And that goes along with questioning. Networking is getting with other people. And I'm going to talk about that in a moment. And then the last thing is experimenting. This is the most important thing. Experiment. Have some fun. Try new things. All right. So now so those are kind of 5 theoretical solutions. Now let's get into the nitty gritty. All right. So the practical solutions. And here are the 2, my first 2 solutions are both mindset solutions. So my first solutions are change your mindset. All right, number 1. All right, I also have the privilege of working with students who are preparing students for standardized testing, ACT, SAT, these things. And so when I'm preparing the students for the math portion of the test, I actually minored in math. For some of you who know my story, I was an electrical engineering major for a long time, and I had enough credits. I went ahead and just minored in math. I could have majored in math if I stayed maybe another semester, but but I still have that math itch, so I still tutor math and help out in math. But here's the thing. I tell my students when they go into the test, if you look at the problem and say, I can't do it, immediately your brain shuts down and stops looking for solutions. And so the first mindset change is you got to tell yourself, it can work. And then, because you said it can work, your mind starts trying to find solutions. All right? So this is the first mindset change. And then the second one, mistakes, dissonance, harshness are the beginning of the process, not the end. Don't stop. Okay? So, some of my biggest discoveries, the chords I play the most, the chords you hear me play the most, were all mistakes. The ones I love the most, you hear me play all the time, were mistakes. They really were. And I stopped because I made a mistake and stopped and looked at what I was playing and was like, what in the world is that? And then I started analyzing and started breaking apart, and I realized, oh, this is something really cool. And I made it part of my playing. Okay, so let's dig in. We've been at this for about 32 minutes now. All right, so let's dig in and really get to it. The first thing you need to do to unlock your creativity, and this is going to sound paradoxical. I know it will, but it's the truth. All right, so if you're watching, get a pencil, a pen, and write this down. Start. Here's the first thing you can do. Start with restrictions. Aaron says limitation. Yes. The first thing you can do to unlock your creativity is to start with restrictions. I know that sounds like, wait a minute, Corey, I'm supposed to be unlocking my own creativity. Why are you telling me to limit myself? It's one of the weirdest paradoxes when playing music. Is, when we're presented with unlimited possibilities, play what you want to play. Sit down and play, and just you can play whatever. You know what we do? We end up invariably choosing to play it safe and play the same stuff we've always played. However, and I've done this for a number of years with students, whenever presented with a smaller number of possibilities, all of a sudden our creativity is freed. And all of a sudden we can play creativity. What's the difference? I think it's one word, and that's listening. When I restrict what you can do, all of a sudden you start listening and really focusing on the one or two notes you can play. So if it's a jazz setting, and I've done this, like play the blues, and you can only pick two notes. So play those two notes. What two notes do you want to play? And my students will start playing, and all of a sudden those two notes will start sounding amazing. But when I said play the blues and choose any of your notes, any note you want, it's like, what happened? It's like, I don't know. And so the key to getting at that is to limit yourself. Start with restrictions. So let's say if you're a jazz, let me know in the comment section whether you are a jazz musician, gospel musician, pop. Let me know real quick so I know who I'm talking to, so I know how to tailor my examples. All right. So I'm going to assume, I'm going to do a jazz example. If you're a jazz guy, and I say like let's play over the blues, and if I say, play, you can play whatever you want to play. So guys start playing, and they'll start trying to play all these different notes, right? And then I'll say, just only play notes of the chord. And this is what I hear. All right. They're starting to get it. They start getting it. And all of a sudden they start like, oh, and all they're doing is playing the notes of the chord, whatever the chord was. Just try it, simple try it. And why? Because they start listening, and now I'm not playing my same old chords, my same old lines. Let me do a gospel example. Let's do it. Let me think of one. Oh, I was just watching a video today, and they were doing this song. Hallelujah, salvation and glory, honor and power, He is one. Yeah. So, hallelujah. There's a gospel song. Salvation and glory, honor and power, He is wonderful. All right. Real simple. So it's like E flat 7, and then A flat to the 4. Then it goes to the 5. Half step up, diminished in 6, and then 2, and then 1. All right. So one strategy you can try to unlock your creativity is something like this. Make your bass line move descending. So instead of playing, D flat this way and C, then B, and following the normal bass line of the song, I'm just going to descend down. Just D flat, C, B, B flat. Now I'm just going to keep going and see what happens. All right. Okay. So let's see what happens. Yeah, wish me luck. Let's see. Like that. Oh, that was sweet. All right. All right. Like that was. I like that. That was something different. I've never heard anyone play it like that. Let me see if I can remember what I did. Just 4 minor 6 over the flat 6 then. Then what's it? Okay. Let's try going up. I don't know. So let's try going up. So we're starting here, and we're going to try to go up. And all I'm doing is seeing if I can keep the melody, have my bass line going up, and still play the song. So let's see. All right, wish me luck again. Let's try it. I'll do it again. All right, and that's so far. That's completely different than the normal. All right. So that is one of my strategies. Try taking the bass line and moving it down, or taking the bass line and moving it up by half steps, by whole steps, by minor thirds, by major thirds, by fourths, and just seeing what you can come up with. Um, so that's the first step. Start with restrictions, whether it's I can only improvise if you're a jazz person over with these particular notes, or if you're a gospel musician, these particular chords. I have to go in a certain way. Let's see. Let's see. MCS says, just checked out the 4 levels of master a day or two ago. I really appreciate you. Not too many cats up there doing some advanced stuff that's actually on the play. I appreciate you. All right. Keith says that nice. MCS says that was hip. Yeah, it's different, right? But it still sounds cool. Josh says, haha, good stuff. You made the keys say something so different but beautiful. Reg Ferg says, your example is opening up my ear and my theory. Thanks, bro. For sure. It's all about opening up creativity. So we definitely, that's exactly what we want to do, is help you think differently. And so all we're doing is old ideas and finding a new way to play them musically, right? Aha. Wow. Keith says, but you need all those chords in your hands. Or in your mind. That's a good point, Keith. So remember, I started earlier with creativity begins with you have to have foundational knowledge. And you have to learn a discipline and master a way of thinking. Now, I have foundational knowledge of those particular chords, right? Now, you can try different chords. And if you only knew major chords, you could still make that work. It just wouldn't sound like mine. It'd sound different, right? So there you go. Let me give you, so that's a couple of suggestions there. Let me give you 2 more. One assignment I always give my students whenever they have an assignment, and I want to challenge you all to take this challenge. No matter what I'm playing, if I'm learning something or I'm trying to get an idea down, double your limit. Let's say so often my students will say, like, okay, I have like for instance a 2-5-1. Let's say, it's like, okay, 2 in C. So 2-5-1 in C. So D minor, G7, and then C major. And I have students play a 2-5-1, right? And they'll learn it for the first time. And then they'll think that is the end to 2-5-1. I know how to play a 2-5-1 now. Well, no, you know how to play 1-2-5-1. And so I always challenge my students, can you learn how to play 10 or 20 2-5-1s in C? And here's what happens. You get to about 6 or 7, maybe, depending how knowledgeable you are. Maybe you might get to 3 or 4 if you're a newbie. But if you're a little older, you might have some more. But invariably, you're going to run out of ideas. And it's at this point that your creativity starts kicking in, because I still got 10 more ideas to create, but I'm all out. I've tapped out. I've reached my limit, and this is where this is the place you want to be in, because this is where your creativity really starts to kick in and force you to move beyond what you already know. All right. So I said double, but maybe I should have said 10x your limit. Whatever. Sit down and play all the 2-5-1s you know in one key, and then say, can I double this? If you know, I know 12 different versions. Try to double it. See if you can do it. All right. And then let me see what people have said real quickly. MCS says, have you ever thought about using the melody to pick a chord, play underneath, and keep it? If your melody started with C and you have C as your upper voice on the chord, use the same chord for the rest of the melody. You get some cool ideas. Exactly. So that's definitely an idea. MCS to spark creativity. Yep. So MCS has had an idea. We're using the top voice of the chord of the top voice of your chord as the melody note, right? Like we always do. But every time you came to that particular melody note, use that particular chord. If I understood it correctly, which is a great idea, you know. And that's one idea of a million ideas you can use um, to spark some ideas. So um, Keith says, "Can you give more examples of 251 in the same key?" Okay, all right. So we start really simple. All right, I'll do it again. Maybe a little more. So now I'm moving to some rootless, but I'm also adding notes out, some flat nines and it's another one of my favorites. I don't know. We can go for a long time on that one. Just lots of ideas. Claudio keeps saying how to swing in Christian music. That's not the focus for this discussion. But if I wanted to add swing to answer your question, Claudio, I would do it in devotional music. So not in like CCM style music. I would do it in kind of churchy kind of music. All right. So a couple more suggestions. One, or at least one more, is so you're doing all these things in and of yourself. So let me just review quickly. So you change your mindset, which is it can work. You start off saying it can work, right? So then your brain starts saying, how do I make it work? Two, mistakes, dissonance, harshness, those are the beginning of the process, not the end. So many times I teach students these ideas, and then they sit down and play it, and they're like, that sounds terrible. And then they stop there. They give up right there, but that is the beginning of the process. Now, how do you make it sound good? That's different. That's different than, that's the next level. The first level is you get the concept. Now you got to make it work. And so many students stop before they even try to make it work because they tried it one time and it sounded bad. And I'll be honest. Most of the times when I try some new ideas, they sound terrible. Let's see. I think I did this the other day, just on the spur of the moment, but I'll try it again. I'm going to try, like, one of my favorite songs is Amazing Grace. So I'll do it in C. And I'm just going to have the bass line ascending by half steps. So let's see what happens. Actually, I should stay there. Alright, so that's just the melody and the bass line. Let's see if I can add chords. So here, this is a great example. This is a weird chord. I have G in the melody and F sharp in the bass. Right? How do I make this work? So I'm trying. There we go. I'm making F sharp 7 with a flat 9 and add 13. Right. So my first thought is F sharp and G. I want to make it dominant. That was my first thought. So that, and this G becomes the flat 9. So, or diminish like that. Like I could. Am I right hand, so it's just F sharp flat 9 or add 13. So let's go back. C sharp minor, E flat minor. Oh my. Let's see. What to do here? Maybe go E or this is a weird one. Uh-oh. So you see there. Testing. Yeah, you see there, we took Amazing Grace and just ascended with the bass line, and it was cool. Like it wasn't bad. Okay, let's see. Let's take some more questions. Paulson says, "How do you practice chords?" It's a good question. How do I practice chords? Most of them I start with block chords first. So then I'll go to drop 2. That's one route. Or I will play the melody, whatever the melody is. Let's say the melody is G and I'm playing a C. So this is how I most often work out chords. And I try to find the voicings in the middle. So I might add, first, third, and then I'm like, what can I add? Add some extensions. So up here, I have I have a really big training on chords. I have a course called Chords Galore where we just go through examining hundreds of chords. So if you're really trying to improve your chords or trying to find out what else is possible, I really break down my own voicing systems. I kind of break down everything in that course. So I think that would be a great course for you to check out. Liam says, if I visit you, is there a chance to learn Hammond organ? I mean, such as academies or schools. Berkeley has a gospel school. I mean, as part of their program, they have a guy that teaches Hammond organ there, Berkeley University. There are some smaller local schools that do as well. Reg says, how can you build self-confidence in yourself playing keys when you think it don't sound good enough? All right, it's a great question. The first thing when you're playing is to stop judging yourself and judging what comes out. Like when you add judgment to it, like it's a cyclical process where I play, I think it sounds bad, I judge myself, and now I don't want to play, or I don't want to improve. But if you what's his name? Effortless Mastery. Kenny Werner says when you play, part of his kind of teaching, he has a whole teaching, but he's like, love every sound. So whatever, no matter what comes out, I love this sound. I love this sound. I love this sound. And he kind of does this thing where he talks about that, where loving every sound. And it'll lead you to some really great places. Let me just show you an example. Here's an example. Here's something y'all see me do all the time. You might not even realize that I'm doing this. Let me show you an example. I do a 2-5-1 in C. Let's see. Oh, sorry. Did you see what chord? The last chorus. I did a D minor, G7 to C. Did you see the chord I ended on? Let me play it again for you. This is really, really interesting. Watch this. Here's my D minor. Here's my G7. All right. Does anybody know what this chord is? Yeah, like you can analyze this from the C point of view and say this is C major 7 with a sharp 9 and sharp 11, right? But it's B over C, right? I ended on B. Like I'm in the key of C. That should sound terrible. But it's one of my favorite sounds ever. And then maybe I'll resolve it. But that's one of my favorite chords of all time. So you'll see me do that. It's not a C minor major. Well, you can think of it as C minor with a major 7, but you got to account for this F sharp here as well. You could think of it as C diminished with a major 7, like a C diminished major 7. And that might be more accurate. Right? So C diminished with a major 7, and then, all right. Okay, so I'm going to read some more of your comments. MCS, do you have any phrasing and playing outside? I want to know how to play more like a singer as far as improvising on jazz tunes. I do have an improvisation course that I think would be perfect for you. We spend a lot of time. Well, it's all about improvisation, so I think that would be perfect for you. Paulson says, I'm actually at this point right now in my musical journey. Oh, cool. Well, definitely, we are. Make sure. So, Paulson, make sure you join this list. See, I'm putting the link to the list. So if you want to stay updated on all things skilled musician, just put your name and email address here, and I will send you an email very shortly, because we have some really huge announcements coming up, and one of them is involving this particular course that you would definitely benefit from, Paulson. So definitely stay tuned, and yeah, if you could give your name and email, I will email you some updates. Leon says, Corey, if I was to enroll in one of your courses, how long do I have access to it? You have access to it for life. Joshua Blair says, I like that, love every sound. Yeah, because once you stop judging, now every sound becomes interesting. Because the moment we stop and say, and our brain says, that's terrible, that's a mistake, I don't like it. The moment your brain does that, it shuts down all consideration of the sound. But if your brain says, I like that, all of a sudden, it's like, wait a minute, this is a breath of fresh air. I like this. I like this chord. It's different. And Dranex says, how do you play along effectively without having to deal with pains? I had to deal with this, Dranex, a few years ago. Actually, it's a number of years now, maybe about 10 years ago. I would hold my hands above the keys and play like this, like I was typing. And so sometimes you see my shoulders up. There's a lot of tension in my forearms. And so I ended up going to see a couple classical teacher who specialized in my technique. I saw a jazz guy also, and one of the things I learned was about Alexander technique. Was about from here, from my shoulder all the way down to the tip of my finger, the part that's playing the keys. Everything else should feel relaxed. And so from up here all the way down to my finger, everything is relaxed. So I have no tension. You're feeling pain because of tension, more than most likely. And so put all the weight of your finger. And here's a test. If you put your hands on the keyboard and just let it relax like this, just let your hands relax, your arms relax. Your arms are a noodle. That's the way it should feel when you play. And if it doesn't feel like that, then you're either holding your hands up and you have tension in your forearm. So you want to alleviate tension because it'll cause a lot of bad injuries. Clawine says, "Do you do one-on-one training?" We do. We do have private lessons. We do, and I'll put the link. We literally see people from across the world. It's pretty cool. So here's the link to our private lessons. All right. Someone says, "I'm in Georgia too. I love your videos. Thank you for sharing." Aha, you're welcome. Right, can you explain the median chords again? I'll watch your video on YouTube. Yeah, that's something. I have a deep teaching on that, Reg, in one of my courses. Um, uh, uh, and so, yeah, so that particular topic I've saved for my quarter moves and progression class. I think I teach in action another class. I think I teach it in the gospel class as well. So for sure. MCS says C chord with D chord and E chord over. It sounds killer. It's like what I thought when you said everything sounds good. Yeah, there you go. And Paulson says, "Gotcha. I'm working on drop twos as well, but I need some better exercise. I'm trying to make my chords sound more fluid and connected." Well, Paulson, in the chords galore class, we cover like that. We cover that. Like everything you're talking about is what we cover. I think that course would be perfect for you. Dranix, I don't do particularly light touch techniques. I've never heard of that. As I said, relax your arm. All this. That's not. I thought people were doing light touch when they played. I tried to emulate. I heard Chick Corea and these guys, and the way the piano sounded when they played, I thought they were doing some light touch thing, and so I tried to develop that. And it caused injury, and I realized I was completely wrong. Chick Corea, when he plays, is not playing light touch, even though he can play lightly, but rather he's into the keyboard very much so. Relaxed here and into the keyboard. Okay, so let me give you my last one. We've had a lot of questions. All right. So the last one is work with someone else. So work with someone else. Find someone else. If you're a jazz person, find another improviser and just practice trading rounds. And what happens is their approach sparks something creatively in you, and you start responding. You start responding to what they said instead of what you always play, right? If you're a gospel musician, find another. If you're a pianist, for instance, find another pianist or organist. Either one is fine, and play the same song and practice trading over the same song. Like you play it the first time, then I play, then you play, then I play, and what you'll find is they'll play something that's different, and it'll spark your creativity and cause you to think differently, a new approach to get to the same place. All right. So my practical solutions again. Now my practical solutions, of course, start with some mental things, which is change your mindset. Approach everything as it can work. Secondly, don't judge your mistakes, dissonance, and harshness. Those are the beginning of the process. So don't quit when it sounds bad. But that's the beginning. Right? It's like when you lift weights, as soon as you pick up the weight, it's heavy. like as soon as you pick it up, it's heavy because it has weight to it. But that's the beginning. You have to start lifting it now. That's the actual workout. All right, and then start with restrictions. Start trying something. Uh, if you're a jazz like improvisation, start with just chord tones, or just a triad. Gospel musician, try something simple like I'm going to play descending bass lines or ascending bass lines, or try different things on a tune. Then we talked about doubling or 10xing your limit. If you can only play 10 2-5-1s in the key of C, double that. Force yourself to work through and get to 20, and then get to 40, and then it'll explode. And then work with someone else. And if you do these things, your creativity will be on overdrive, and you'll start playing things you never imagined. Let's see. Alan says, Corey, do you have any advice on creative solo piano arrangements? I would say how to approach them. Yeah, I would say try this technique. Most kind of reharms I find are just guys, and I'm not downplaying it. I mean, it's pretty cool. Is just literally just changing the bass line and changing the chord that goes to it, and then sometimes doing functional harmony and then doing changing. So I don't know. So for instance, let's say you're doing a song. Um, so the first Noel, right? Maybe I want my first chord to be. All right, so let's say I want my first chord to be like a tritone away from where we started. I'm going to D. Sorry, so let's see. Oh, that's sweet. Let's try that again. There we go. All right. All right. So if you notice there, I'm working through that process. I decided I wanted to have D as my first note, and then I had to work through getting the chord to sound right. And I ended here. So. Like Alan, I've just given you a reharmonization. You can run with it. All right. But I like that one. That's sweet. All right. Okay. So there you go. So that all started from me deciding I wanted the first chord, the third chord, but the downbeat first to be, instead of A flat, I was in the key of A flat. I wanted it to be D, like a whole tritone away, and it changed the whole reharmonization of the song. So I find that most kind of reharmonizations like that are something to that effect. Okay. Tawanda's watching from China. Wow, thanks for being on. Let's see. Niriko says, do you agree with the comment we should not use sustain pedal when practicing? No, I think you should practice with the sustain pedal. That's how you get good at it. And now, I will say, you probably hear me playing the sustain pedal too much, and it's because my sustain pedal died, so I had to get it back up. real quick. My sustain pedal literally just died, and so I had to get a backup, and the backup is high. So when I lift up, I think I've lifted up. I'm so used to the old one, and this one you have to lift up super high to get off of it. But definitely, I think you should practice with sustain. But now certain cases, not. If you're working on legato playing with your hands and learning how to play legato, then you don't. Then of course, don't use the sustain pedal. All right. Michael Napoleon says, I'm watching from China too. Wow. Maybe on another day we have to sit down and chat. Like, how did you get? Tell me the story of how you got to China. Maybe you can, if you can type it. Tell me how you got to China, or if you're from there. Or, um, um, Tawana says, I want to know if it is effective to practice scales on a non-weighted piano. Uh, okay. Uh, all right. I'm going to be diplomatic here. um, so, if you are trying to be an organist where they play the organ is unweighted, or if you're trying to be a synth person plays on synths, then I would suggest then doing your scales on that type of instrument would be perfect because that's the instrument you're playing on. Um, However, I am a big proponent of practicing scales on a weighted keyboard or piano, even more so. I'm a big proponent of that because that's like lifting weights, and you have to really work in it, for sure. All right. Yes, that song was the first Noel. Michael says he's doing his masters in China. You got to let me know, what is your masters in? Uh, Andrew Gonzalez says, "Love this. Will this be uploaded later on?" It's uploaded now. I think you should literally be able to go back to the beginning of this live stream, like even right now as I'm on. So it's up and it will be up. Says Dranik says, "Are there any worship chords you love to play?" Dranik, the key is melody. As long as you have a cool melody, you can play simple triads and they sound great. Aaron says, "Do you know of any good resources for learning arranging? It's the one aspect of my musician where I struggle and my creativity feels limited." Um, I had an arranging book. Um, what is the arranging book called? Oh my, I I can't remember the name of the arranging book. I'm so sorry, Aaron. Watch, it'll come to me as soon as we end this live stream. It's a great one. It's one I used. Oh, it's great. What is it? Oh man, I can see it. I'm so sorry. Jay Andrew has a great question. How much time do you recommend a piano player to practice? Um, well, it depends on your goal. I will tell you. I would tell you. They said this when I was coming up, and I'll share it with you all. If you're a professional musician, trying to come up, especially coming up the ranks, 2 hours a day minimum. 2 hours a day. Um, yeah, if you're trying to be a professional musician and do this as your profession, then you got to spend time. Um, during during my definitely during my coming up days, I was doing 4 hours a day for sure, but not straight. I would do two hour sessions, so 2 hour and then 2 hours. Um, I think you should always, if I had to give you a list of things to practice, I think you should always be working on technique. Two, you should always be transcribing something. All right. Keith says, "Do I need special video equipment for one-on-one lessons with you?" No, Um, no, tablet, phone, computer, they all work. Um, yeah, they all work, Keith. Jay Andrew says, should we focus on a specific topic during those 2 hours? Yeah, focus on one idea. One idea. And then focus on mastering that one idea. What would you recommend for technique? I have a video on technique. Jay Andrew, you can type really fast. uh, let's see. And here it is here. So here's the video for a technique. Simon Hops says, I have a tough question. How do people use different chords bass with the same top note? How do they come up with variations? There are a lot of ways to do that. I think Reg just asked the same question. So there are a lot of ways to do that. And there are a lot of different techniques. All right, so I'm trying to think if I can give you one or two really quickly. I would say, for instance, let's say I want to hold A flat. I would start with 2-5-1s. So if I'm doing a 2-5-1 to D flat, so right. So a lot of that fast chords, multiple chords you're seeing, is just somebody kind of holding one note, but a lot of times they're doing 2-5-1s. Stuff like that. There's some 2-5-1 stuff. So I would say practice 2-5-1s and see if you can. Let's see. So 2-5-1. I'm in E. I'm in D flat. I'm in B. I'm in A flat. Let's see. Yeah. So that's a good suggestion. Okay. There are a lot of more techniques that are used to do that, but that's one that'll get you started quickly. So, but there's a lot more. Alan says, how do you try to incorporate different styles like Latin or funk into your playing, and how do you do it tastefully? I'm about to start studying Latin music again. When I was really hardcore going for jazz, um, I'm playing and touring and doing all that stuff. I definitely was studying different Latin type things. Um, but now I am more focused. Well, let me answer this question. Let me answer this. So, Alan, what you want to do is study the little things that make each one of those styles what it is. So, what is it that makes funk, right? Maybe it's how they play their chords, how they voice them. What is it that makes Latin? What is it? Well, there's a rhythmic aspect to it, and I would say study that, understand it, learn it, come up with a rationale as to why this happens, and then you can start applying it to your playing, and you can do some really amazing things with it. So that's what I would say. Get into it and start asking what makes this music what it is, and answer your question. Don't let yourself not come up find an answer. Answer the question for yourself. Even if it's wrong, the answer is more enlightening than saying I don't know and not finding the answer. Okay. Jan says thanks a lot for your tips and hints. You're welcome. All right. Well, you all, I have some good news and bad news. I have some good news and bad news. I'll give you the bad news first. Today is the last live stream of this year. So next week, which is the 25th, which is Christmas, um, in our part of the world, we will not have a live stream. Um, and hopefully I'll be back um, so that we can have a live stream on the 1st. I believe that that'll be the 1st. I think so, the next Wednesday. Um, but I will keep you all updated. Um, um, Let me put a link here again. If you want to stay updated about everything Skill Musician, and also some of the new things we have coming out. As I said at the beginning, some of y'all missed it, but we have some new, really big things coming out. We have some really, really, really big ideas coming out. Some big things to help you improve. And I'll just quickly kind of share just a snippet, not a lot, because I can't tell it all. We're putting the finishing touches on it. But one of the things that we're excited about is I have always wanted the opportunity to work more hands-on, more closely with students. I literally see students from around the world, and it's an unbelievable blessing to be able to work with students and see the commonality of students from literally all over the world. Um, but I've been wanting to walk alongside some musicians that really are trying to improve and really want to become the best they can become. And I want to work hands on and just really and we found a way. I'm so excited. I'm trying not to tell you. I'm trying to like restrain myself, but we found a way to do it. But this type of program that we're trying to bring, I cannot do it with everyone, and so I'm looking for about 5 people, um, and maybe that might be too much. We might have to pull it down less than 5. I'm hoping we can handle 5. I would love to handle more, but it's too much because I'm going to be spending a lot of time with each person, and so I'm looking. Uh, um, to a really involved mentorship program. And so I'm looking for 5 people from around the world. Doesn't matter where you are, from around the world, and I want to work with you. And so if you want to stay up to date um, and be one of the first ones to get in on that opportunity, um, make sure you just click the link I just put in the chat box and add your name and your email address, and I'll send you an email and you know when that's open. I'm gonna let those who are in the community, on the email list and in our community, let you know first, and then we'll let um, everyone else know. I'll make a video on YouTube. That'll be after I let everybody in the community know. And so that program I'm gonna let everybody know publicly in January. I've kind of given away a little bit, but I haven't given away too much. And we also have about three other big announcements that we'll be sharing. But I'm going to first let those who are a part of our community know. So if you're not part of the community, if you're not um, on our email list, definitely make sure you're on. Leon says it's a first come first serve. Yes, yes. Now for that particular program, we have an in-depth uh, interview process, and so it's important for you to be first, because we can't take everybody, but we're taking people who are really serious about improving, um, and um, so that it's only for a small group of people. Click this link that I just put in the chat box and add your name and description. So click the link right below where you just put your email. I can't take your email like that; it won't get in my list. But if you click the link I just put below your email address and add your name and email. That will work. Okay. All right. Are there any other questions before we get out of here? I thought for sure we 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 would be done in about 45 minutes. So, are there any other questions? Are there any other questions before we go? Okay, well, listen, you all. I have thoroughly enjoyed this. Our first 3 months. This is the 12th. Um, this is the 12th installment of our One Thing series. Wait, I see we have a little bit of delay because all the questions are coming in now. So let me just answer a few questions really quickly. Gonzalez says, Andrew Gonzalez, before I forget, exercises for left hand that you recommend. The same exercises for my right hand. So click on that video where I talked about technique. Um, and those would be the same exercises. So there you go. That's the technique video. Keith says, do you have a list of artists that we can listen to? You know what? I created a list of musicians that I definitely love to listen to. Let's see. Okay, here's what I'll do. I will. Okay. All right, Keith. Tell you what. Remind me on our next live stream, and I will have it for you. Um, I've shut down my stuff now, so but I will pull it up, and it'll be easiest to access to give it to you. Um, and I might send it to the list. I might email it out to everybody on who's in our community. So make sure you're on the list, okay? None of your business. How much sauce is too much sauce? It depends on what you mean by sauce. When the sauce covers up too much covers up the meat, and the meat gets soggy, then it's too much sauce. We want to taste the meat too, or the other thing underneath it. What piano or piano VST do you use? Right now, I'm just using a Yamaha S90 ES. I'll type that in the chat box. Right now, I use a Yamaha S90 ES, and I'm using the natural grand sound. I bought this for that sound. On my videos that you see me put up that aren't live streams, that I'm either using Spectrasonics, Keyscapes, and I'm using the Yamaha C7, or I'm using UVI's Ravenscroft 275 piano VST. Well, that's Ravenscroft, not UVI. They use UVI. So those three. Alright, let's see who else. Leon says happy holidays. Happy holidays to you, Leon, and everybody. Sweet Taction. Thanks so much. Love your stuff down here in New Zealand. Much appreciated. Thank you so much. Liz, thank you. See you, Mike. Sky says enjoy your play. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Reg says, this is my first live with you. I enjoyed it. We'll be back, bro. This piano is a live chat for me. Thanks again for the videos. Thanks, Reg, first. Yeah, thanks for joining. And definitely, I'm so glad you enjoyed it. And definitely share these videos on your social media so that people can check them out. None of your business. Like, how far out is too far out when being creative? Um, uh, that's a, that's an individual question. If you ask Thelonious Monk how far out was, um, his limit was here. If you ask people at the time who were his contemporaries, they would have said the limit is here. But he changed the bar, and everybody said it was up here because of Thelonious Monk, for example, who who broke the rules, and I say that in with quotation marks. He kind of broke the rules, or changed what's what. So how far out is too far out? That's a subjective question. Like, how much salt is too much salt on your food, or how much sauce is too much sauce? It all depends on you. What songs are a must know as a gospel board player? Um, I have a whole list of songs as well. like I've over the years I've kept a list of songs. And it literally has hundreds of songs on it. Okay, I would say start with the hymn book. You must be proficient in hymns. And so grab a hymn book. Um, and maybe I'll send out something. Or Andrew, tell you what, join our next live stream and ask me that question again, because I've shut down stuff, so I can't get to my resources to give. What Chris says, what's the name of your church? Oh, definitely come check it out. It's called New Covenant Christian Ministries. It's in Lithonia, Georgia. That's Georgia. Paulson, happy holiday, everyone in court. Yes, happy holidays. Yes, oh yeah, thanks, Nanya. Everybody definitely hit the like button. That lets YouTube know that people like this, and so encourages them to push this live stream, and helps me. Ark says, is there any type of shortcut method to grasp chord inversions for your left hand to keep the fluidity or not jumping? Is there a shortcut? Excuse me. I would say, I would say position your hand in this kind of central position, and not changing much, because from one chord to the next, um, they're not much different. So, but there's no shortcut to getting them. You have to just work it out. Versatile says, I watched a lot of your videos. They're helpful. First time seeing, realized from Bermuda, but in America. All right, cool. Thanks for being a part of it. Pacao here from China. Wow. How are you? Thanks for joining. Andrew says, you're from Georgia. You know it's not Preston. Yeah, I know Preston. I don't. We've talked once or twice. We're not like I know him for sure. Um, Ark says, while playing solos for the left hand. Um, hmm. I have a video coming out on that, Ark. So stay tuned. I have a video coming out for you. Okay. All right. We are at an hour and 34 minutes. My goodness. All right. Someone says, I think you should do a video instructing us on being the aux keys guy. Interesting topic. I think I think Daquan Bones did a video on being aux keys. Uh, um, but I'll consider it. The pillow. Hello, Core. Hi, the pillow. More petty. And let's see. You have made my year of keys playing so fruitful. I'm glad we were able to help. Thanks for being part. All right, you all. I have to go now. And so thank you all uh, for being part um, of this live stream. This has been phenomenal. Um, um, let's see. It's been you all have made this. I didn't know how this all would turn out doing these live streams, but this has been absolutely phenomenal. So again, just one more time, and I know I sound like a broken record, but I want to make sure you all who have been on my live streams, who really support me, uh, here's the link again. Make sure you put your name and email address so I can send you the updates, because I want you all to be the first ones to get access to all the new stuff that we're putting out before everyone else, because you all have been supporting me, and I'm appreciative and honored that you stick with me. Some of you all are like on like every live stream, so I'm appreciative. Let's see. I see two questions of the same question, so I'll answer it really quickly. Do you do lessons in at Atlanta? Um, I actually stopped doing lessons in person simply because I have so many, so many people. So live stream makes online makes it a little easier. Um, um, yeah. So our live stream makes it just a little easier for me to handle lessons like that, just because I get so many, and the travel and stuff is can be a little difficult. Let's see. Love what you do. All right, thank you all. So thank you all again. Um, um, let me see. But for Chris and Jamal, uh, just email me and we'll talk. Yeah, just email me. All right, all right. So again, thank you all so much. I'm again appreciative that you all stuck with me. Like some of you are still on an hour and a half later. So you all are phenomenal. You all are troopers. So again, make sure make sure you sign up on our list, because I want to make sure you all have access to um, uh, the big announcements coming up. So again, thank you all so much. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, um, and oh, just a quick announcement, just a little side announcement. My birthday is on uh, it's on Monday, the 23rd. So, if you want to give me a present, maybe support our website, purchase something. I don't know. I'd appreciate it. Carlos says, good news, bad news. So the bad news is we're ending, but the good news is we'll be back January 1st. I'm hopeful to be back January 1st. All right. So that's it for today. Thank you all again. Be blessed and happy practicing.